Now, after preparation of income statement or profit and loss account, we will move to the balance sheet preparation in this given case. Now, whenever you are preparing a balance sheet for any organization in financial modeling, try to see that you are preparing the balance sheet again as per company formats, the format given for companies, which is basically assets first and then liabilities. It is a vertical format, and under assets you have non-current assets first and then current assets. Under liabilities you have equity, other equity, then non-current liabilities and current liabilities. So in the same format we will try to prepare the balance sheet of this current given organization. Now if we look at the first component into the asset side of the balance sheet, it is non-current asset. Now in the given case we have only property, or you can say property, plant and equipment. And if we see the sequence here, gross block of assets minus accumulated depreciation is equal to net block of assets. If we see our asset schedule prepared, we will see we are matching the same sequence. So what we can do here is, into the balance sheet we can go to year 0 in front of the gross block of asset and simply link it with the asset schedule we have created with the value of gross block of asset. And if we drag this value further for the accumulated depreciation and net block of asset for year 0 and the entire values further for next 6 years, it will automatically derive the values of gross block, accumulated depreciation and net block of assets for us. Now for the purpose of total of asset side, we will be considering only net block of assets. So we will highlight it by giving the borders at all sides. Moving ahead, the rest of the assets into the asset side in the given case are, if we see the case, it says it has inventory, it has accounts receivables and it has cash. Now inventory and account receivable is given to us for year 0, but cash is not provided, so we will keep it as it is as of now, and from this we can make the total of the asset side, which will be simply equal to net block of assets plus inventory plus account receivable plus cash for year 0. Now we can drag the formula for the rest of the years, though we are yet to calculate the values of inventory, account receivables and cash. Now similar way, whatever values are presently available for liability side, we will fill up those values and then we'll try to calculate the rest of the values. Now starting with the equity and liabilities, equity part, if we read the case carefully, it does not have any equity given to us, but it gives us retained earnings. Now if we calculate retained earnings are basically retained earnings up to previous year plus the profit after tax or surplus of current year. Now there are no retained earnings of previous year, so we will mark it 0. Now previous year in this case will be year -1 or the year previous to current year, so which can be regarded as -1. Now there are no retained earnings given to us for the year -1, so we consider them to be 0, and my 0th year retained earnings will be equal to my previous year's retained earnings plus my profit after tax. Now as in this case there are no dividends, we will simply take profit after tax. In case of a company financial modeling, we have to deduct the dividend and the rest of the money goes to retained earnings. Now here we will drag it further for all the 6 years and we get the values of retained earnings. Next component into the liability side is non-current liabilities, under which debt appear. Now we have already calculated the debt values. And when we see our debt schedule, we can see there are two types of loans taken by the organization. And whenever you are recording the value of debt, you have to record the value of debt as end of the period debt. And here when we record the value of debt, we will record the value of both the loans. Loan taken for the general business and for the expansion as well. The sum of both the loans we will take into the debt at the balance sheet side. So we will simply take the total of the general loan taken plus the loan taken for expansion. For year 0, 1 and 2, there are no end of period debt values for expansion. But to generate the formula, we will take or we will select those cells. This gives us value of overall debt taken, and now we can simply drag the formula or copy and paste the formula for rest of the period to calculate the overall debt after giving effect of payments and the new loan taken as well. Next component into the balance sheet here into current liabilities is only accounts payable. Even the value for accounts payable is given to us, which we record as it is. Now for better understanding, we are adopting certain color scheme here, wherein we are keeping all the calculated values as black and all the already given values into blue, so that we can identify whenever we are reading the financial model. Now accounts payable value also is required to be calculated for the rest of the years. But before going for that calculation, let us make the total of the liability side, as there is no equity but still equity plus retained earnings plus debt plus accounts payable. This gives you the total of the liability side as total liabilities and shareholders funds, you call it, rather instead of equity. I'll just make that correction, and you can just paste this formula across. Just let me make this correction. Instead of shareholders equity, we will write shareholders funds. Now next to that, please prepare a checksum. Checksum is simply the difference between the total liabilities and total assets. This checksum helps you find out if your balance sheet is getting tallied at the end or not. Easily it can do the, or you can say work for us when we want to find how much is the balance or by what amount it is not balancing, and how much is the difference between the asset and liabilities total. And checksum can be calculated as simply total liabilities minus total assets. As of now, we are getting certain checksum. The reason being, we have not filled in all the values into our balance sheet. We are yet to calculate the values of inventory, accounts receivable, cash and accounts payable for first 6 years. That's why it's obvious that it will have certain differences into the total of assets and liabilities. So moving ahead, we need to calculate these values, and if you observe, all the values which are pending to be calculated are related to working capital. So we will create a working capital component or working capital schedule. Now the values given to us related to working capital components are days of sales outstanding, which is 50 days, pay days, that is creditors payment period, you call it 50 days, and cash conversion cycle as 90 days. The inventory value is given to us as 12 crores, debtors value as 14 crores and creditors value as 8 crores. If we observe days of holding, that is inventory holding period, most of the people know it by this name, is not given to us. So we are supposed to calculate that by using the formula cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle is basically inventory holding period plus debtors collection period minus creditors payment period. So if we reverse the formula and use it, we can calculate days of holding as equal to cash conversion period plus pay days minus days of sales outstanding, which will be B89, and it gives me days of holding, that is inventory holding period, as 90 days. Now once the holding periods are available and 0-year values are available, with the help of ratios related to days of holding, days of sales outstanding and pay days, we can calculate the values by reversing the formulas. For example, if I talk about average inventory, if I talk about days of holding, the formula for days of holding, which is 90 days, is actually average inventory divided by cost of goods sold multiplied by 365, the whole of the bracket multiplied by 365. Now if we simplify this formula, wherein average inventory is equal to year 0 inventory and year 1 inventory divided by 2, and then further simplifying the formula as divided by cost divided by 365, we reach the formula as we have to calculate year 1 inventory. So if we format this formula, if we simplify this formula, we get the formula as year 1 inventory is equal to inventory holding period into 2 into cost of goods sold divided by 365 and the entire bracket minus year 0 inventory. So we are using the values given to us. I understand in the first go it is slightly difficult to understand this formula, so I suggest you to simplify the basic formula of inventory holding period, and those who want the Excel file of this particular case can simply put your mail ID into comment box and I will send you this Excel file. But I will suggest you to practice after that as well. So now by using this formula we will be calculating year 1 inventory, for which we have derived the formula as year 1 inventory is equal to inventory holding period, which is 90 multiplied by 2 multiplied by cost of goods sold. Now cost of goods sold value is available into income statement for year 1. So we go to income statement year 1 divided by 365 bracket complete minus year 0 inventory. Now year 0 inventory again is available into the working capital schedule itself, which is this, and this will give us our required value of inventory for year 1. You can check the formula again, which says holding period into 2 into COGS divided by 365 minus previous year's inventory. Now here if we want to drag this formula, the holding period is supposed to be constant for all the calculations. So we simply freeze that value and now we can drag these values for rest of the periods and we get the correct values as like this. Similar way, if we want to calculate days of sales outstanding, which is also called as debtors collection period. The debtors collection period formula basically is average accounts receivable divided by sales into 365, which again if we simplify gives us the formula like this, which is equal to days of sales outstanding into, which is given to us now, days of sales outstanding here in this case is 50 into sales into 2 divided by 365 and the entire calculation. From that you have to deduct previous year debtors to calculate current year's debtor. So we apply this formula as we have rest of the values available with us. So it is equal to days of, in the bracket, days of sales outstanding, we take it and we freeze it. In the previous formula we see that holding period is going to remain constant. So we freeze it. Multiplied by 2 multiplied by sales. In case of debtors, we take sales value instead of COGS. So we take the sales value of year 1, and when we talk about sales, we are talking about the total sales. Remember it. Okay. Divided by 365. 365 is the number of days into the year. Bracket complete, and this entire value, from this value we deduct the previous year's debtors, which is available into the working capital calculation itself, which we are doing. We simply press equal to, and we can copy this formula and paste it further to get the rest of the values as you can see. Similar way for pay days, which is also called as creditors payment period, we do or we follow the same procedure. We first of all find out the basic formula, which is average trade payables divided by COGS, the entire bracket multiplied by 365, and then we simplify it further. It simply gives us the formula as pay days into 2 into COGS divided by 365 minus previous year's creditors is equal to current year creditors. So we simply apply this formula into year 1 values, which is equal to pay days into bracket pay days. Pay days is going to be constant, so freeze it, multiplied by 2. Now here we are multiplying it with by COGS because the purchase value is not available to us. If the purchase values are available, kindly take those values. But as those are not available, we will take the COGS values from the equity statement, income statement. So we take that value, we divide it by 365, which is number of days into the year, and from this we deduct simply the previous year's creditors or payables. Previous year's payables are available to us into the working capital statement. So we deduct it and we get the the creditors value for year 1, which we can simply drag and get the values for rest of the period. Now as most of the working capital values are available with us, we can simply copy them into our balance sheet from year 1. Year 1 inventory value as we have calculated here, simply link it. Immediately next to it, even into the working capital schedule is accounts receivable. So we can drag it down and drag it to the right to get the values. Just to cross verify, you can check the last year value as 35 and 29 for inventory and debtors. Now we go to the balance sheet liability side and try to link the creditors values. Simply drag it for the rest of the period, and now you will see the balance or the checksum is reducing as we are adding few values to it. Now most of the values of the balance sheet and of the income statement are calculated. Only few of the values remaining are the interest calculation, that is interest income part, which is to be calculated on the opening period cash balance or beginning of year cash balance, and into the balance sheet again the same value cash balance, which is basically the closing balance of cash. Now all these values are dependent on the cash balances, which we have to calculate by preparing the cash flow statement. So in our next video, we will be preparing the cash flow statement for this organization, and at the same time we will be calculating or doing the valuation for this particular case. Stay tuned for my next video.